What's going down, everybody? Welcome back. This is part 3 of our altered art tutorial. Today, I'm going to probably not paint anything, but I'm going to show you how I kick things off. I've got a huge stack of cards there that at some point in time will probably all get painted. And over this way, I don't know if you can kind of see the starting of this pile here. This is the line of commissions, and today we're going to get after some of what this is going to look like. And today I have got some cards that I've started, I guess, that haven't quite seen the light of day on the auction block or the for sale block or anything because they're not done yet. So I'm going to grab the first one on the pile here. It is a Croson Grip, and you can see that it doesn't really look like a Croson Grip. All around the sides is a base coat, and on the bottom, you can't see on the camera, but this bottom is actually painted with black paint already. You know how I do the bottom on all of the auction pieces or the stock items, they fade to black at the bottom. That is a means for me to direct the eye up and keep it on the focal point of the image, but also save a little bit of time. So online, I've seen a lot of places or a lot of people, YouTube tutorials or what have you, that say that you got to blank a card. And you don't have to. You don't even have to base coat a card, really. Some cards do like some card stocks from certain printing presses do certainly like being blanked, being base coated, being what have you. But for this is just like from Time Spiral, it's fine. This is their regular card stock. And I didn't show you this last time because you don't really need to go out and buy like an expensive marker. But this is a Stedler Lumacolor permanent marker. Online, the cheapest I can find them is like $12 or $14. At my campus bookstore, traditionally the most expensive place to get art supplies and books and stuff, this is $2. So I have like 5 of them for the price of one. So I use this. It's got a big fat tip on it. Don't Google that. You can get skinny ones too. And this is what goes around like the border of the card. And you got to be super careful to go around like the sides of the name line, the type line, and the box at the bottom. But what I do is essentially I just cover the space between the edge of the art where the pin line is and the black border, so it's all one color. And like I'm transitioning from the green color here to like the black, but that's only one line I have to like contend with or blend over versus like the black that starts the pin line and then the pin line, then the black, and then the green border, and then the black border on the outside. If you can just get rid of all that and make it one solid color, regardless of what color that is, it's going to make your life a lot easier. I use black because then it just allows me to do one coat of black around the bottom, again, to direct the eye up to the central part of the card. So the Stedler marker. I forgot to mention that last time. Sorry, everybody. So I do the marker, I get the black paint, and usually I do them in bulk. I'll do like 20 at a time. I'll do all black, and then I'll do blacker on the bottom for all the stock pieces, and it just allows me to goop a bunch of black out and do it all at once like assembly line style. And really that's the only time it's ever quicker to do assembly line style because there's so much mixing and matching and fiddling with color that even if you get me to do like 20 rat colonies, they all have to be done individual of each other. They can't be like all the blue, then all the orange, then all the purple. No, all at once, next card. All at once, next card. If you are trying to starting to try and do this on your own or to make money, forget the assembly line thing. Trust me, I've tried it. It doesn't work. So all at once. So after this is like this, it's ready to be painted. That's when I start to pick colors and goop them out and then start to paint. But before I talk about that, sometimes it's beneficial to, like I said, base coat a card or blank a card. Like the space cards all have to be base coated, right? So instead of just doing blacker on the edges with the marker, I'll do black everywhere that I can. And then it only takes one coat of black paint instead of taking like 4. Because the marker just goes on, it makes everything black, and then the paint goes over and I can paint onto it. For something that has white borders and like maybe a light sky, that won't receive any black because what's the point? I'm just wasting time. For anything that has a lot of like right here where the normal art would end and the type line and text box would start, if there's red or yellow or orange, that's where I go back to my jug of acetone in the garage with like a blue shop towel, like a paper towel, but it's like one of those really hardy blue ones that you get at like Home Hardware or whatever. I'll fold that up real small and tight so it's like a little edge, and that's where I'll actually use acetone to get rid of that ink, just so the whole card, right where the transition happens between art and type line, all white, and I'll just try and white it down as far as I can go where there's going to be red or orange, because even if you get like the really expensive good paint with a high pigment load, oranges and reds and yellows just don't cover very well. So you're always going to see that black line or that red pin line underneath your yellow. And if you want to avoid that, you have to put on 700 layers of paint, and it's going to make your card too thick. You're going to see a little bump there. So I just blanket and use like 2 layers of paint. So yeah, it takes a little bit of time. It's kind of hard to physically with your fingertips rub that ink off of the cards, and some ink doesn't rub off. Anything that was printed on a Japanese printing press, so anything where they stack the packs like Battle Bond is notoriously bad for paint not sticking to it. That's why I hate painting it, because it's that really smooth Japanese printing press finish. And when I try to acetone the paint off to make it easier, it doesn't come off very nicely. So anything from a Japanese printing press is terrible. Ultimate Masters was the same way. They were printed on the Japanese press, so it's terrible to paint as well. So people like those alternate art Kodama's reaches or whatever. Yeah, those are terrible. Doing Battle Bond stuff, like I did a Toothy Imperial a little while ago, terrible. But it is what it is. So paint will still stick to it. It's just a lot harder. It takes more layers. You got to be more careful with a toothpick, because it's just going to rip the paint right off of the card, like I talked about last week. The marker does help with that. If you put the marker down, like paint for some reason sticks to permanent marker better than it does to the card. So that's a reason to use the marker or to use a base coat, right? But it does make the paint job permanent. Permanent. You can acetone the marker off, but you can take all the ink with it too, so you're going to be left with a white card. Anyways, let's talk about actual painting. I've got this Croson grip here. For this Croson grip, I would use here, let me aim this down. For this Croson grip, I would start with my big blending brush. I would start with yellow and green and brown. I would start with some white, because believe it or not, and of course black, right? So there's my 3. You're going to have way more brown and white in this painting. I don't know how well you can see. Everybody knows what Croson grip looks like. Maybe I'll find a picture of it and put it on the screen. Everybody knows what Croson grip looks like. Around the sword, those little tufts of whatever they are, smoke or unfocused trees in the background or whatever, way more white and brown in there than green and yellow. Way more. And you think, oh yeah, it's just white and yellow. No. There's way more white and way more brown and way more black in that than there is green and yellow. Trust me. So you're going to need these. Go get these before you buy these. And I would take my brush and I would just start mixing, and I would put down it's called underpainting. You'd put down like the general colors in the general places that you need to put them. And then after you're done kind of the underpainting, you can kind of just very lightly do some circles directly on the card to kind of make, I'm left-handed, sorry guys. You can just do some gentle circles like that to try and kind of mimic the shape of the bush or whatever that is behind the sword. And then once that's done, you take this finer brush and you can paint in some of the actual details. And every time you use like one of these super fine brushes, you're going to always want to like dip and do some mixing on your paper or on your palette. And then you're also going to want to mix in some water with that. This is usually filled up to here with water, right? Like it's full and it's sitting right there. So when I dip in my paint, I can dip right in water, or I can like do some mixing and then dip in water to water it down, and then I put it on the card. So you never want to do real thick paint on the card, because it's going to get bumpy or rough or not look flat. So grab a card, good card, bad card, basic land, something that looks like it's got like an object that you can paint or extend, and it could be extending out the borders down into the text box. Just try it, right? People are like, I'm so nervous, I can't do it, it's gonna suck. Well, yeah, it's gonna suck. It is. And you know what? I think you just kind of have to be okay with that. Give it a go. The only way to get better at it is practice. And that is true for all levels of art. Nobody is born a good artist. So you do have to practice. Maybe that'll be the focus of the next video. Okay, That's it for today. Big thanks to the patrons. Okay, see ya.